Hello everyone and welcome to Old Coins TV channel. If you love exploring the world of coins, their history, value, and rare discoveries, you've come to the right place. Here, we'll share exciting information about coins from around the world, from ancient treasures to modern currency. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to never miss our latest videos. The 1971 1-cent coin, commonly known as the 1971 Lincoln Memorial Penny, represents an important transitional era in United States coinage history, combining traditional copper composition with modern minting technology and serving as a symbol of everyday American commerce during a time of major economic, social, and political change, as it was issued in the early 1970s when the United States was moving away from precious metal-backed currency systems and experiencing inflation, rising production costs, and the pressures of the Vietnam War era. This penny continues the long-running Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, designed originally by Victor David Brenner, whose obverse design showing Lincoln's right-facing profile remains one of the most recognized images in world coinage, while the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, displaying the memorial building with Lincoln's statue visible inside, symbolizing democracy, unity, and remembrance. The 1971 cent was struck at 3 U.S. Mint facilities: Philadelphia No Mintmark, Denver D Mintmark, and San Francisco S Mintmark, primarily proof coins with massive production numbers reflecting the penny's heavy circulation use. As the Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 2.9 billion coins, Denver struck over 2.6 billion, and San Francisco produced several million proof versions for collectors, making this coin extremely common in circulated condition but still historically significant. Compositionally, the 1971 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and plain edge, representing the classic, pre-1982 copper penny, that is now increasingly valued for its metal content as copper prices have risen over time, which adds another layer of interest for collectors and metal investors alike. The coin's reddish-brown color when freshly struck gradually darkens through red-brown to brown as it circulates, and collectors categorize them by color designation: red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN, with fully red examples being far more valuable and desirable due to their original mint luster and minimal oxidation. Although most 1971 pennies are worth only face value in worn condition, uncirculated and high-grade specimens can carry noticeable premiums, especially coins graded Mississippi 65 and above by professional grading services, and particularly rare or sharply struck, fully red examples with clean surfaces, strong memorial steps, and no contact marks, while San Francisco proof coins are also sought after for their mirror-like fields and frosted devices, making them popular additions to modern U.S. proof sets. The 1971 Lincoln cent is also well known among error coin collectors because that era produced a variety of minting errors and varieties, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, cuds, and repunched mintmarks on Denver issues, some of which can be worth many times face value depending on severity and eye appeal, adding excitement to searching rolls and old collections. Beyond its numismatic value, the 1971 penny holds deep cultural and historical meaning, having passed through millions of hands during a period marked by civil rights progress, technological advancement, and economic change, making it a tangible artifact of daily life in early 1970s America, and even today it continues to be found in circulation, reminding collectors and everyday people alike of a time when copper pennies were solid, heavy, and richly colored, embodying both the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the enduring story of American coinage. Beyond its basic minting facts, the 1971 Lincoln Memorial cent carries deep economic, metallurgical, and collector significance because it was struck just before the United States began seriously reconsidering the high copper content of its smallest denomination, as rising global copper prices were already making the intrinsic metal value of each cent approach its face value, which eventually led to the major 1982 composition change to copper-plated zinc, making the 1971 cent part of the final generation of real copper pennies that are heavier, denser, and more durable than modern cents, and this has caused many people to hoard these coins as both nostalgic keepsakes and long-term copper holdings. The heavy circulation of the 1971 penny means that most surviving pieces show soft details on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline as well as flattened memorial steps and columns on the reverse. Yet collectors prize those few examples that escaped circulation and still display blazing original mint red color with strong strike quality, smooth surfaces, and bold memorial lines, as these traits sharply raise value, especially when certified by major grading services, while proof versions from the San Francisco Mint are distinguished by their deep mirror fields, frosted Lincoln portrait, and squared rims, which were carefully polished and struck multiple times to create their refined appearance, making them ideal for long-term preservation in proof sets. Historically, the 1971 cent circulated during a moment when the US dollar itself was undergoing transformation, as President Richard Nixon ended the gold standard in August 1971, fundamentally changing the nature of American money and linking this humble penny to one of the most important monetary policy shifts in modern history, meaning that every 1971 cent is a direct witness to the moment the United States fully embraced fiat currency, adding an invisible but powerful layer of meaning to this common coin. From a cultural standpoint, these pennies were used daily in grocery stores, school cafeterias, gas stations, arcades, and vending machines, forming part of the everyday rhythm of American life, and for many people they represent childhood memories of pocket change, piggy banks, and coin collections started at kitchen tables, while for modern roll hunters, the 1971 cent remains one of the most frequently searched dates because it is old enough to be copper, new enough to still appear in circulation, and abundant enough to find in large quantities, making it a favorite among beginner collectors. Taken together, the 1971 Lincoln cent stands as a small but powerful historical artifact that bridges classic copper coinage, economic transition, and the living memory of 20th-century American society, continuing to attract collectors, investors, and history lovers who see far more than 1 cent of value in this enduring coin. Another important dimension of the 1971 Lincoln cent is its role in modern coin collecting education, because it is one of the first coins many young collectors encounter when learning how to grade, attribute varieties, and recognize minting quality, since examples of every possible condition, from heavily worn brown coins to blazing red gem uncirculated pieces, are widely available and affordable, making it a perfect practice coin for studying surface preservation, luster flow, strike sharpness, and rim quality, while also teaching collectors about the difference between business strikes and proof coinage, mint marks, and the impact of storage on copper surfaces. The coin also provides an excellent reference point for understanding how copper reacts over time, as improperly stored 1971 cents often develop dark spotting, streaking, and corrosion, whereas properly stored examples retain bright red color for decades, clearly demonstrating the importance of archival quality holders in climate-controlled environments, and this makes the 1971 cent a valuable lesson in conservation and preservation. In the marketplace, certified high-grade 1971 cents, especially those graded Mississippi 66 and Mississippi 67, red, are surprisingly scarce compared to the massive original mintage, proving that true gem survivors are much rarer than raw population numbers suggest, and this scarcity has created steady collector demand and auction activity, while recognized error varieties can bring even stronger premiums and generate excitement at coin shows and online auctions. The penny's enduring popularity is also strengthened by the universal respect for Abraham Lincoln as a national symbol of unity, freedom, and leadership, making any coin bearing his image emotionally meaningful to collectors, educators, and historians, and turning even a common 1971 cent into a miniature monument to American ideals. Because it is still legal tender and easily obtainable, this coin continues to inspire new generations of collectors to begin their numismatic journey, proving that valuable history does not always require rare or expensive coins, and that even the smallest denomination can carry an enormous legacy. From the perspective of mint technology, the 1971 Lincoln cent also reflects a period when the United States Mint was steadily improving die production, hubbing accuracy, and mass strike efficiency, allowing billions of coins to be produced at relatively low cost while still maintaining acceptable design clarity, and this is why many 1971 cents show fairly consistent lettering, portrait outlines, and rim formation compared with earlier decades, even though minor weaknesses in the memorial steps and roof lines are still common due to die wear from long production runs. These coins were produced on high-speed presses that could strike hundreds of coins per minute, and as dies aged, they developed cracks, chips, and flow lines, which today create interesting collectible varieties such as die breaks and cuds that are studied and cataloged by error coin specialists, adding a scientific, almost forensic dimension to collecting this date. Socially and psychologically, the penny also carried symbolic weight during the early 1970s, a time marked by shifting values, environmental awareness, and debates over the usefulness of low-denomination coinage, yet the Lincoln cent survived all such discussions and remained in daily circulation, continuing to perform its function as a measure of value and change-making while quietly preserving a familiar image of Lincoln for every generation. For modern collectors, the 1971 cent offers an appealing balance of affordability, abundance, historical connection, and genuine collecting challenge, because while millions exist, assembling a truly high-grade, fully read, well-struck, blemish-free example is surprisingly difficult, and doing so provides satisfaction similar to completing much rarer coin series, demonstrating that the true art of collecting is not only about rarity, but about quality, preservation, and historical appreciation. Through this lens, the 1971 Lincoln Memorial Cent stands as a perfect example of how a common coin can become a meaningful historical document, linking technology, economy, culture, and personal memory into a single small copper disc that continues to circulate, educate, and inspire. Looking more closely at the artistic and symbolic aspects of the 1971 Lincoln cent reveals why this design has endured for decades and why it continues to resonate emotionally with collectors and historians alike. Because Victor David Brenner's original portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse captures a calm yet determined expression that reflects leadership, wisdom, and moral strength, qualities that were especially meaningful during the turbulent early 1970s when the nation was coping with social change, international conflict, and economic uncertainty, while the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse reinforces these ideals by representing permanence, sacrifice, and unity, with its classical columns symbolizing democratic stability and its inner-seated statue quietly reminding viewers of the man whose leadership preserved the Union. When billions of 1971 cents passed through the hands of citizens paying for bread, newspapers, school lunches, and bus fares, they also carried these subtle messages of national identity and continuity, making the coin more than a tool of commerce but also a daily reminder of shared heritage. Numismatically, the design allows collectors to judge strike quality through fine details such as the definition of Lincoln's hair above the ear, the sharpness of the cheekbone, the clarity of the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, and the visibility of the memorial steps and columns, and these details form the basis for professional grading standards that directly affect value, especially for coins certified in gem mint state with full original red color. Preservation also plays a major role, as copper is highly reactive to moisture, oils, and airborne contaminants, and therefore the long-term survival of bright red 1971 cents depends on careful storage in inert holders, low humidity environments, and minimal handling, which in turn teaches collectors the science of metal conservation and the importance of preventive care. Emotionally and culturally, these pennies often become family keepsakes found in old jars, drawers, and inherited collections, serving as quiet bridges between generations and sparking curiosity about history, economics, and collecting, and in this way the 1971 Lincoln Memorial Cent continues to fulfill a role far beyond its 1-cent denomination, standing as a copper witness to American life, values, and continuity across decades. From a long-term historical and investment-oriented viewpoint, the 1971 Lincoln Cent occupies a fascinating position because it sits at the crossroads between mass-produced everyday coinage and collectible copper assets, as decades of circulation, loss, melting, and hoarding have slowly reduced the surviving population of high-quality examples, making pristine red uncirculated coins increasingly scarce compared to the enormous original mintages. And this slow attrition has quietly strengthened collector demand and market stability for certified gem specimens, while even average circulated pieces are increasingly saved for their copper content, which gives the coin a dual identity as both a historical artifact and a tangible metal holding. Academically, numismatists use the 1971 cent as a reference point when studying die life, strike pressure, planchet preparation, and the evolution of modern minting processes, because it was produced during a period when the mint was refining automation while still relying on traditional copper alloy planchets, creating an ideal balance between old-world material and modern manufacturing methods. Culturally, the coin is deeply embedded in the everyday memory of the early 1970s, a decade of cassette tapes, vinyl records, classic automobiles, and expanding suburban life, and the penny quietly accompanied these lifestyle changes in pockets, purses, and cash registers, becoming an unspoken companion to ordinary transactions and personal stories, while educationally it remains one of the most common coins used in schools to teach children about money, history, and the image of Abraham Lincoln. As time continues to pass and fewer bright, well-preserved examples remain, the 1971 Lincoln Memorial Cent steadily shifts from being merely old change to becoming a more appreciated collectible, proving that even the most common coin can gain importance through age, survival, and the stories it silently carries. 1971 Lincoln Cent also plays an important role in online roll hunting culture, coin forums, and educational numismatic channels, where collectors exchange photos, grading opinions, and error discoveries, and this constant discussion keeps the coin relevant despite its commonness, as people continue to search bank-wrapped rolls hoping to uncover sharply struck red examples, dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, and die cracks that transform an ordinary cent into a prized find. The coin's copper composition produces a distinctive ringing sound when dropped and a solid feel in the hand, qualities that are noticeably absent in modern zinc cents and which immediately connect collectors to earlier generations of coinage, reinforcing the sense that 1971 cents belong to a classic era of American money. Scientifically, these coins also offer a real-world example of copper oxidation and patina formation, making them useful in both educational demonstrations and museum displays to show how environmental exposure affects metals over time, while historically they help illustrate the shift in U.S. economic priorities that eventually led to cheaper coin compositions. Emotionally, many people remember counting 1971 pennies as children, placing them in piggy banks, or collecting them in small jars, which gives the coin a nostalgic power that often inspires people to begin or return to coin collecting later in life, and this combination of scientific relevance, cultural memory, and personal connection ensures that the 1971 Lincoln Memorial Cent remains not just a piece of spare change, but a meaningful artifact of American history. When examining the broader timeline of the Lincoln cent series, the 1971 issue stands as a quietly pivotal date because it belongs to the final decade before the United States Mint permanently altered the penny's composition, size, and production philosophy, and therefore collectors often view it as part of the last true copper era, which carries a special emotional and historical appeal, since coins of this type feel heavier, sound different, and age more gracefully than modern cents, making them seem more substantial and dignified in the hand. In long-term private collections, 1971 cents are often selected as representative pieces for complete Lincoln Memorial runs, as they are affordable yet historically meaningful, allowing collectors to assemble visually impressive albums that trace the evolution of American society across decades, while museums and educators use them to demonstrate both mass production techniques and the continuity of national symbols. Even within professional numismatics, the 1971 cent is used as a comparison standard for strike sharpness, luster quality, and surface preservation because it was produced in enormous numbers under fairly consistent conditions, creating a large data pool for grading analysis. Emotionally, the coin continues to carry a quiet dignity, reminding collectors that Abraham Lincoln's image has now appeared on American coins for more than a century, linking the 1971 cent not only to its own decade but to the entire historical arc of the nation, and ensuring that this humble copper piece remains a powerful symbol of continuity, memory, and everyday American life. Another remarkable aspect of the 1971 Lincoln cent is how it quietly reflects the economic psychology of its era, because it circulated at a time when the purchasing power of 1 cent was beginning to noticeably decline, meaning that while the coin was still widely used for exact change, it was slowly losing its ability to buy meaningful goods on its own. And this gradual shift made the penny both a symbol of tradition and a subtle marker of inflationary pressure in everyday life. Nevertheless, billions of these coins continued to move through hands, cash drawers, and vending machines, performing their duty as precise measuring tools of value even as their practical buying power diminished, which makes them historically valuable evidence of changing price structures and consumer behavior. Numismatically, this context increases the significance of preserving 1971 cents because they document a moment when the smallest U.S. denomination was still an active participant in commerce rather than a largely symbolic token, while collectors today can study wear patterns to understand how frequently these coins circulated and how long they remained in use. Culturally, they remain embedded in stories of school book fairs, candy purchases, bus fares, and early allowance money, creating a personal connection that modern zinc cents rarely inspire, and through this emotional, economic, and historical lens, the 1971 Lincoln Memorial cent continues to gain importance as a meaningful survivor of a transitional period in American monetary history.